from the News Channel 5 Network. This is Score on Business.
Hey, welcome to Score on Business. I'm Pete Hendricks, a serial entrepreneur, and your host for today. SCORE is a nonprofit that's focused on helping small business and entrepreneurs succeed. We would love to help you. The website is scorenashville.org. There are plenty of resources. There are a lot of things you can download. There are, you can go to classes. There are free counselors. On Channel 5's website, you can watch this show, and there's a lot of good folks on there. And so with that, let's get started. So Joey Storey, thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
Okay, so Joe is both an entrepreneur as well as leader for fast-growing startups. Currently is as the COO at Arbor Health Care. He's been a key player in growing and selling 3 businesses, and I know Joe is excited about what's going on at Arbor Health, but today we're going to focus on his experience with entrepreneurship. So Joe, having been involved in multiple successful companies, tell us about building teams.
Building teams. Well, first, thanks for inviting me.
Oh, yeah.
This is different and fun. Building teams, you know, it starts with your people, and with people, it starts with hiring.
Right.
And, you know, the old adage, you start with aptitude, or you start with attitude, and then you go to aptitude.
Yeah.
And I think my experience is you first look at the attitude, right? Are they the type of person that you want in your business, that you want your customers to interact with?
Right.
Do they create a culture that allows your business to grow? Will they grow with your culture? And then if they kind of fit that mode or that template, then you look at their aptitude, right? Do they have the skills? I mean, you can't hire them if they don't have the skills.
Right.
And so you look at that, and if they have the right attitude and the right skill set, then you hire them. But, you know, once you've hired them, that's only just the first part of a long process. And, you know, when you think about building culture, when you think about developing your team, for me, there's really been kind of 2 things that we focused on. And I would say, you know, this is my experience. Other people have different experiences, but we focus on kind of shared experiences. And, you know, that can be internally as you're working on a project, or just something that happens it's a real learning experience, or it's a funny experience, or it's maybe something where you wish you'd done better. And all of those, when you share with your team, you know, everybody learns, everybody grows.
Oh, yeah.
And I think everybody appreciates that information, right? So there's shared experiences, and then I think the second part of that is shared education. And your team, you as a leader, you've always got to be able to grow.
Right.
And so when I think about shared education, that can be some type of training material. It can be a good book. It can be looking at some type of new technology. It can be looking at an article, a blog that's written. Or, you know, it could also be just learning a new skill set together. And what I've found is when your team goes through those experiences, they pick up a couple of things. One is a shared lexicon, and the other is a shared template that they can go to make decisions. And so when they have a shared lexicon and a shared template, then that means that they can make decisions, well, they can communicate quicker, and they can make decisions better and faster. And so when I think about building a team, those are the key components of what I think you need to do to have a strong team.
While we're on that, can you speak to culture for just a moment?
Culture, you know, people define culture different ways, right? Culture could be free food in the cafeteria.
Yeah.
Culture could be an open door to the C-suite. Culture could be, you know, you don't have a set schedule to work, or you can bring family or your pets. But I think it's more than that, though. It's really an attitude of service It's an attitude of curiosity. It's an attitude of learning. At least for me, those are the key components of a culture that I want.
Service, attitude, and learning. Okay.
And I think you've always got to be working on that.
Yeah.
Right? Because you want to be able to trust that when your employees are out with your customers, representing your business, that they're going to deliver it in that way.
Right. Awesome. So when you're working with an existing company, if you're looking at becoming part of the team, what are some things you're going to ask?
Well, the first thing I'm going to ask is, what's your product and what's your vision for the product, right? And I think I'm going to ask, who's your team? Who's going to help you deliver on this vision? I think the next question would be market opportunity. Why are you doing this? Is it needed? And then the next would be funding. How are you going to pay for this? Who's going to fund it? How long? What's your window here to get it? That's going to be the kind of the probes that I'm going to.
Right. And the funding is so important, especially for startups and for smaller companies. If you can't just go borrow the money at the bank. You have to have a plan for that. Yeah. So any startup ultimately has to gain and grow revenue. Can you share experience in working with companies to find the best opportunity as well as how to drive revenue?
Well, the first thing I would say is revenue is the key. If I'm talking to an entrepreneur and they've got some great idea, it's going to save the world. The question is, yes, but how are you going to pay for it?
Yeah.
Right. I think as you can generate some revenue, that gets the marketplace a lot more excited about your product. It's easier to hire.
Right.
It's easier to go get more money if you need that.
Yeah.
Or to go to a bank, if that's the way you want to fund it. And I think with revenue, what I would urge small entrepreneurs or new entrepreneurs, young entrepreneurs, is find a champion.
Yeah.
Find somebody in that marketplace who can help you work on your product, who is willing to pay for your product if you're really delivering value, and then who can introduce you to other people in that market.
Yeah. That one thing with my company, the one that I just started a year ago, we've been doing some awesome things for success in 3 to 5 years. Now we got to sell something today.
Yeah, that's right.
So having grown so many companies, what are key concepts that entrepreneurs should understand?
Well, that's there's some people out there who say you should focus on disrupting the market, right? And in reality, there's very few disruptors out there.
Right.
Right. It's really about, can you find a problem to solve that someone will pay you to solve that problem? It's a circle, right?
Yeah.
And I think when I talk to entrepreneurs, that's the first question: is where's your market? Who's going to pay for it? How much are they going to pay? And because often you see these great ideas, but when you price it out, you realize that they have to sell thousands and thousands of those widgets in order to cover their overhead, and it really won't make sense, or doesn't make sense.
So one thing I'm hearing is you're talking about entrepreneurs is really for them to look past the excitement into the reality. Understand what it's going to take to become profitable, and understand that, make sure that you have the money for that.
Yeah. I think when you say look past the excitement, I mean, there may be some who think something like this is exciting, but the real excitement is when you have a customer look you in the eyes and tell you that you've solved their problem, or that you've taken care of that, piece that they needed you to take care of, that you're a partner, that you've tweaked your product, and you see some pleased faces. You see people who are ready to sign larger contracts. I mean, for me, that's excitement, right? It's excitement when your employees grow and they get excited about either what you're building or what they sold or how they delivered it. For me, that's
I'm
exciting.
totally with you. What excites me is doing a good job.
Yeah.
for a customer, and it really makes me feel good when implementation occurs and they're happy. Okay, so thank you so much, Joe, for being on here.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, we will be right back. We're just going to take a quick break. Remember, scorenashville.org.